Friends, recently I watched an Odia horror film named Buttu, which is directed by Jagadish Mishra. On IMDb, this film has received a whopping 8.5 stars out of 10, and its ratings are not available on Rotten Tomatoes. Now, since this film is quite new, we will only use photos from the trailer during the explanation, and I would recommend that you definitely check out the film before watching this video, because the video contains spoilers. This means we are going to talk about the film's story. We will also discuss the ending. Moreover, this is a brilliant regional horror comedy film, and the fun of its comedy can only be enjoyed by watching the film itself. Now, before starting the video, I have a request for all of you. Please also follow my Clips channel and Facebook page, because we are posting content there daily. So now with that said, let's roll the intro. So at the beginning of the film, we see two men forcibly dragging a woman and making her sit on a boat. Then these people take that woman to another village, to the house of someone named Ratnamala. Now the woman who was brought here was possessed, and the one
who brought her was her own son. Ratnamala used to exorcise the evil spirits from possessed people, and inside this possessed woman was the spirit of a woman named Savita. Ratnamala challenges Savita, saying she cannot enter a fish's body, and upon accepting the challenge, as soon as Savita enters the fish, Ratnamala cuts the fish, which destroys Savita's spirit, and of course the possessed woman was cured. Now in the next scene we see a child who goes outside the house in the dark, and from there his mother crosses him and goes inside the house. Then, as this child moves forward, he finds his father hanging dead from a tree. The child screams, and the scene shifts to a man named Buttu who has woken up from sleep. Basically, Buttu was seeing all this in a dream because this had happened to him in his childhood. I mean, his father had died in that manner. And friends, Buttu's mother here is none other than Ratnamala from the first scene. Buttu lives in the village of Bunpur in Odisha, and he owns a pond where his job is to catch and sell fish. Although his pond has very few fish, which is why Buttu isn't able to earn much money. In short, Buttu is struggling a lot financially, and his mother, Ratnamala, runs the household by doing that exorcism-related work. Ratnamala doesn't have much money either because, for one, she is buried under debt. On top of that, she keeps taking on more debt. Here we also meet Buttu's friend Sanai, with whom Buttu roams around on a bike. Buttu and Sanai are collecting donations in the village for the upcoming puja, and during this we meet some other people from the village. Like the village policeman Amit, whose father is just busy taking care of his goats. And Amit's father's name is Bibhuti. Then there is also a homeopathy doctor in the village, whose daughter Rinki likes Buttu, but Buttu keeps running away from her. Then there is a man in the village who is the only person to have gone abroad. Basically, he has been to Dubai and keeps saying, "Walla Habibi" to everyone here. Now, an important point here, friends, is that Buttu's friend Sanai's bike has an issue. Meaning, he can start his bike with any sharp object by inserting it into the keyhole. Although the key doesn't get stuck in the bike, so it keeps falling anywhere. Anyway, moving on, there was a function at the Dubai returnee's house which required a lot of fish, and Buttu is only able to provide one carton of fish from his pond because his pond had very few fish. Meanwhile, Buttu's cousin Somu brings fish in many cartons, and he also insults Buttu, saying how his business is not running at all. Somu also has a pond with plenty of fish, which is why Somu is earning well. Then after this, we see Buttu's great-grandfather's death anniversary, where Somu and Buttu clash once again. Why? Because Buttu had sat on Somu's bullet bike, and for this Somu says nasty things to him. Buttu couldn't afford a bike himself. And here we can also understand that the villagers used to say nasty things to Buttu because of his mother's exorcism profession. And Buttu felt very bad about this. By the way, a funny thing here was that Buttu's grandmother used to trouble his mother a lot. That's why Buttu's mother Ratnamala would act on every death anniversary as if the spirit of the great-grandfather had entered her. Then she would make her own mother-in-law massage her feet, etc. She would have mutton cooked and eat it, and also drink alcohol. Anyways, that night an argument breaks out between Buttu and his mother because Buttu wanted to go out of the village to find some work, but his mother would never let him leave the village. That's why today, Buttu says in anger that he will leave the village tomorrow morning. Now the next morning, Buttu's mother sees an owl outside the house and feels into that today is not a good day. That's why she tries to stop Buttu from going out. But Buttu, along with Sanai, goes out of the village to meet a man who could get them a job in Dubai. But for all this, he asks for 1 lakh, which neither Buttu nor Sanai had. So they both start returning to the village, and it got quite late by the time they were coming back. Just then, the key to Sanai's bike falls again, and now they needed something sharp to start the bike. In search of this sharp object, Buttu goes near a tree where there was something unnatural. Now when Sanai comes to that tree looking for Buttu, he finds Buttu lying there. In Buttu's hand was a large, sharp nail with which the bike starts. But the surprising thing was that Buttu was now behaving very strangely, meaning he was neither saying anything nor were there any expressions on his face. Buttu comes home completely silent and, without talking to his mother, eats his food and goes to sleep. Now the next morning a miracle happens. Basically lots of fish come out of Buttu's pond, which leads to Buttu earning well. Not only that, absolutely no fish come out of Somu's pond, which makes Somu's suspicion fall directly on Buttu. Now that night, the policeman Amit's father Bibuti's goat goes missing, and we viewers are shown that a shadow very quickly carried the goat away. Then, the next morning we see Buttu cooking mutton in his house. Yes, friends, Buttu also gives his mother a good amount of money here, with the help of which his mother is able to pay off her debt. While paying off the debt, she gives an extra 1,000 rupees. And so Rinki comes to Buttu's house to return this money. Here, Buttu comes up silently behind Rinki. And this was weird because usually Buttu would run away from Rinki. But today, he seemed attracted to Rinki. Whatever the case, the next night, another of Uncle Bibuti's goats goes missing. And the next morning, the villagers find a goat's skeleton. As if someone ate that goat raw. At this point, Buttu's mother also started suspecting him, because late at night when she got up to drink water, Buttu was not only awake, but also sitting on a chair. Now during the day, Buttu goes to Rinki's house and calls her to meet under the dam at 5 o'clock. Then, on the way, Somu comes and clashes with Buttu, because Somu thought that Buttu was stealing his fish. The policeman Amit breaks up this fight, and at this point too, Buttu's expressions were a bit different. So, at 5 in the evening, when Rinki comes to meet Buttu under the dam, Buttu tries to kiss her. This upsets Rinki, and she leaves from there. After this, Buttu comes home, and here his mother was exorcising a spirit from inside a woman. This woman looks at Buttu and laughs strangely. Then she says to Buttu's mother, Ratnamala, he will snatch your son away. Immediately after this woman rips out her own tongue, and Ratnamala somehow manages to exorcise a spirit from inside her. Now that night, Ratnamala dreams of that same woman, who was repeatedly saying that he will snatch your son away from you. Waking up from the nightmare, Ratnamala drinks water and then feels as if someone is moving around in the house. She immediately checks her son's room, where Buttu was sleeping peacefully. But on the floor, she clearly sees bloodstains. At this point, Ratnamala becomes sure that there is definitely some kind of spirit inside Buttu. Meanwhile, in the village, goats were continuously going missing, and so the villagers go out at night with torches, etc., to find this goat thief. However, the villagers don't catch anyone. Now the next morning was the day of the puja, and there is a song here. The song is not important, but what's important is that during the song, when the sound plays at a particular frequency, Buttu has a problem with it. And friends, during the song itself, Buttu's mother places a When Buttu returns home, he first throws this lemon in front of his mother. Then he levitates all the things in the house. Buttu laughs strangely here, saying, mother," and then calls his mother by her name and says, "I am a spirit above your level. Don't even think of messing with me." Saying this, Buttu closes his room and goes to sleep. Now, after this scene, we are shown the story of Ratnamala's past, when Buttu was a little child. At that time, too, they were struggling financially, and Buttu's father repeatedly tells Ratnamala that she should use her knowledge of Tantra to earn money. Ratnamala was flatly refusing this, which did not please Buttu's father. Then suddenly one day, Buttu's father comes with a lot of money, and it was clear that he was doing some kind of wrong work. Now, what wrong Buttu's father was doing you will find out later in the story. For now, in the present time, Buttu was also behaving in the exact same way. I mean, he was giving his mother money and saying, "Take whatever you want. I will bring it." Cutting back to the present plot lines. On the other hand, the villages were increasing the watch at night, because now quite a few goats had started to go missing. As for Rinky, her father was thinking of getting her married to a software engineer. But Rinky liked Buttu. That's why she meets Buttu and tells him that Buttu should ask her father for her hand. The two of them are sitting near a pond when Somu comes here with his gang. Building suspense, Somu thinks that he will push Buttu into the pond. But as soon as he gets closer, he sees Rinky's reflection in the pond, but there was no reflection of Buttu. From this, Somu understands that something is wrong with Buttu, and he runs away, screaming. Shift to horror, faster and more intense. Now, that night, the villagers conduct a very big search to find out who is eating their goats. And during this search, one man stops to urinate. He gets left behind, and just then he feels a movement in the jungle. But in the next moment, that man's head was separated from his body, and the villagers are completely stunned to see the headless body. The next day, the police arrive, and the body is sent for investigation. Meanwhile, the villagers are instructed not to leave their homes at night. Parallel to all this, Buttu goes to Rinky's father and says that he wants to marry their daughter. Hearing this, Rinky's father scolds Buttu harshly and shoos him away from there. That night, Buttu's mother, Ratnamala, confronts him and asks who he is, meaning whose spirit is inside Buttu. Ratnamala also sprinkles some powder on Buttu here, which angers Buttu. And he grabs his mother's neck and lifts her in the air. Buttu screams here, giving his mother a final warning, saying that she should not interfere in his matters. Now, at this point, the story goes back to the past, where we find out where Buttu's father was getting money from. Actually, he had started black magic, and at one point, he was about to sacrifice his own son, Buttu. Then Ratnamala had stopped him, and in this scuffle, she strangled Buttu's father and finished him. Then she hung Buttu's father from a tree so that everyone would think that he himself had done all this. So, in short, Ratnamala herself had killed her husband, but she did so to save her son. Now, in the present time, we see Ratnamala making a phone call to someone, and when the call is not answered, she secretly catches a bus and starts going somewhere. Before leaving, she asks Buttu's friend, Sanai, to keep an eye on him, and also tells him to be careful. Now, Ratnamala was going here to meet a man named Lingaraj, who was quite an expert in Tantra. Lingaraj, who calls himself Lee, so we will also call him Lee. He immediately performs a ritual and finds out whose spirit is inside Buttu. Here, a strange, ghostly woman screams in Lee's ear, and here we get to see the backstory of a man named Amari. Now, who is this Amari? Well, his spirit is inside Buttu's body, and that's why we need to know his backstory. So when Amari was born, his mother passed away while giving birth. Amari's father had also abandoned him, and thus he grew up in great poverty. Because of this, he would steal to eat and drink, and the village people would beat him up. After growing up, Amari used to steal the villagers' goats, and here Amari also liked a girl. In fact, that girl also liked Amari. Now this girl's father was a big man in the village, and Amari was also stealing his goats. One night, the girl's father finds out that Amari is the one stealing his goats. So the next day, he takes several people from the village and raids his house. At this time, Amari and that girl were being intimate. But as soon as the villagers enter the house, they find this girl in a dead state and Amari crying near the corpse. Everyone thinks that Amari himself has killed this girl. And then what? The villagers tie Amari up and beat him while taking him to the same tree near which Buttu had been possessed. There, these people beat Amari a lot. Then they tie him to the tree and drive a nail to his head. Now, friends, this is the same nail that Buttu was looking for that day to start the bike. Buttu had found this nail stuck inside the tree, and Buttu had pulled that nail out of the tree, which is why Amari's spirit became free and entered his body. So yes, this was the backstory of Amari, the spirit inside Buttu. Returning to present, fast-paced and tense. Anyway, in the present time, Sinai sees Buttu killing a goat and eating it raw, and he somehow escapes from there. After this, Buttu goes to Rinki's house and becomes intimate with her, and he also runs away from there before Rinki's father arrives. Before leaving, Buttu tells Rinki that they will both run away from here. Cutting to another scene parallel to this. The policeman Amit's father was missing, and Amit somehow finds him in the jungle. Uncle Bibuti says that he was very proud when his son Amit became a policeman. But today Amit couldn't save his goats from being stolen. So what's the point of being a policeman? Hearing this, Amit gets fired up and he assembles the whole village so that they can come together and finally finish the goat thief today. Somu also comes to this gathering, having brought a gun with him so that he can just shoot the culprit. On the other hand, Ratnamala and Lee had also returned to the village by car, but they don't find Buttu at home. In this situation, Lee tears Buttu's bedsheet in his room. He starts making knots out of it. Meanwhile, Buttu was running away with Rinki, but as soon as Lee ties knots at the house, Buttu starts writhing in pain over there. At this point, Buttu's real ghostly face is revealed, and Rinki also gets to see it. Buttu runs with unnatural speed and reaches his house directly. Now, before Lee could throw magical ash or water on Buttu, Buttu attacks them. Then he jumps around and runs away from here. They chase Buttu, and here Buttu goes to Rinki's house and attacks her father. Then he starts dragging Rinki away forcibly. Just then, Lee traps and all the villagers start moving towards this side. At this point, Rinki feels pity for Buttu, and she frees Buttu from the trap. Buttu runs and the villagers start running after him. Somu uses his gun here and fires a shot at Buttu, causing Buttu to fall into a ditch. At this point, the villagers finally find out that the goat thief is none other than Buttu, and everyone was completely shocked by this. Now Buttu attacks them and runs and hides in the jungle. Then he starts killing lots of villagers one by one. He even finishes off Somu's friends, the gang members. Now, before he could finish off Somu or Amit, Ratnamala and Lee arrive here. Lee had a device in his mouth, which, when vibrated, produced that same sound frequency that was causing problems for Buttu. The possessed Buttu is disturbed here, and in this state, the villagers beat him and render him helpless. The villagers are about to kill Buttu, but Ratnamala stops them by telling them that it's not Buttu, but rather Amari, who has possessed Buttu's body. At this point, Ratnamala calms Amari inside Buttu, and a secret is revealed here. Actually, Amari had not killed his lover. Rather, the girl's father had seen his daughter at Amari's house. From this, he understood that there was a relationship between Amari and his daughter. And if the villagers found out about this, his name would be dishonored. That's why he had killed his own daughter. Now, because he had killed his daughter at Amari's house, when Amari returned, he found his beloved dead. And the girl's father had immediately framed Amari and had him killed. At this point, Ratnamala calms Amari inside Buttu, and it seems to us as if Amari has calmed down. But then he suddenly flares up and starts levitating in the air. Ratnamala grabs his leg, and just then, Sinai remembers that Amari's spirit was bound